Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Hawthornden. You join us for the third week of the RBS Championship League B, where Lasswade welcomed last season's Premier 3 champions, Howe Fife. Howe Fife have been the beneficiaries of the last two encounters between these two teams, and Lasswade will be looking to eagerly change that. But Dave Coburn and his men can be under no illusion to the size of the task they have in hand today. Lasswade quite happy to ruck the boy out of this 22 situation they're in here. Ball's picked up there by Dougie Hearn. Pops it outside into Mark Wilson. Oh, and he's away. I think he's going to get round the outside of Chris Masson. He is as well, and he's away. There's nobody going to catch him. This young fella's got grass to burn, and he's under the sticks. He's a great find, this young Mark Wilson. I tell you, he's cementing himself into the first. You think he'd been there for seasons. So Gav Brown sticks up for what should be just a routine conversion in front of the sticks. Pops it over, he says, thank you very much. That's Lasswade 7, Howe Fife 0. So here we are in the Lasswade's 22, however, a scrum here. And the referee Malcolm Gray's asked him for a quick reset. Stuart Lathangi pops the ball in. Quick channel 1 ball. Chris Mason picks it up, pops down the blind side. He pops it off to Rory Drummond. Drummond stays on his feet and pumps the legs. Lasswade forwards have got no answer to this as the Howe Fife forwards are just plunging over in Malcolm Gray's, and no doubt at all. That's a great try there from the Howe Fife forwards pack. Fantastic effort. 5 points on the board from Howe. Dominic Martin steps up here to take the conversion for Howe. Strokes it beautifully, and it's between the posts, and it's now Howe Fife 7, Lasswade 7. With the line out just inside the 10 metre line. Dougie Hearn takes it. The forwards drive it on. They're driving up to the 22 now. Gavin Brown takes it, goes himself, steps inside, gets caught though. Dougie Grant takes the ball and he seems to have fallen quite awkwardly actually. Neil Clark digs it out, pops it to Blackwood. Blackwood pops it to Elliott. Elliott goes in for the crash. Neil Clark feeds it out again, still inside the 22. Blackwood comes back in the cut, tackled again. Clark feeds another one out to Jack Forrester. Pops inside, trying to get in between two men, but he's pretty well wrapped up. Neil Clark again, goes himself. But the referee's blown up Malcolm Gray. He saw a Howe Fife player not releasing the tackler, or maybe it was even for being offside. So Gavin Brown given the opportunity to put 3 points on the board here for Lasswade with a penalty. Just inside the 22 and right in front of the post. Oh, but it's bounced off the post. Comes back into Lasswade possession. Lasswade having another counter attack back in against the Howe try line. Clark digging it out. He comes left to Blackwood, to Hennessy, crashes through. He's still going. He pops it, Clark pops it again to Blackwood. Moves his feet in the tackle and goes into contact, but he's wrapped up. And now just 2 yards off the try line. Lasswade forwards. Securing and maintaining possession here. Howe defence is fantastic. They're giving nothing away. Pops it again to Clark. Lasswade edging closer still. Ball's out. Oh, it's been spilled by Lasswade though. And Howe on the counter. Lasswade line out here inside their own 22. Ball goes to the front. Oh, but it's been stolen by Howe. Lathangi pops it out. Ball all on the back, so Howe backs in possession at the moment. Lovely ball back inside. Tackled by Lasswade though, just inside the Lasswade 22 with the referee. Malcolm Gray's blown up. Lasswade handling in the ruck. So Dominic Martin steps up to penalty and pops it over. Another 3 points to Howe Fife. So it's Howe Fife 10, Lasswade 7. Howe with an attacking scrum here, 10 metres off the Lasswade try line. And Stuart Lathangi waiting to pop the ball in. Pops it in. Channel 1 ball. Chris Mason got it at his feet. Howe forwards controlling this ball beautifully. And Mason picks the ball up, he steps inside Dougie Hearn, he hands off Gavin Brown, and he's underneath he's over the line to the left of the post. Great effort there. Marvellous bit of control from the Howe forwards in the pack. This Lasswade scrum creaking a bit since the loss of Dougie Grant. Howe's got a possession, they've got a scrum in the middle of the park here. Picked up by Lasswade, pops out to the left. Dominic Martin takes it, pops out to the winger. Down the outside, next to the touchline. Howe still in possession, tackled by Lasswade. Ball goes to ground, pops back again from Lasswade to Martin. The Howe forwards trucking it up the park. They're now over the 10 metre line, but just before the 22 now. Lasswade to Martin, wee show and go. Pops the ball back inside, and Graham Cook's the grateful recipient, but unfortunately Martin Gray's decided that he was offside, so it's a penalty to Howe of Fife. So Dominic Martin, penalty kick here. Halfway between the 22 and the 10 metre line, just to the right of the post. Steadies himself. It looks like he struck that well. And the touch judge thinks so too. And so does Malcolm Gray, and that's another 3 points to Howe of Fife. Restart from Jack Forrester. Nice high restart, collected by a Howe of Fife. Take it at the middle. Oh, it's a bit of an opportune gap appeared there in the centre. And Roy Drummond took an opportunity, gives it back into Chris Mason. And the Howe forwards are charging up the pitch still, are inside Lasswade's 22. Still recycling the ball. Howe still in possession. Stuart Lasswade taking that ball out there. Brings it back out to Mason. Howe forward still securing the ball. Pops it back up again. Graham Thompson chips back inside, or cuts back inside there. Roy Drummond picks and goes. And it's another try there for Howe. A rather unusual decision there from referee Malcolm Gray. He's opted to pull them back 22 metres to the 22 and give them a penalty rather than giving them the try they've just scored. Not quite sure what the infringement was. We're about to find out, I think. Had a wee chat with Jack Forrester. It appears to have been something with foul play with his feet. So he's off for 10 minutes, and that's Dominic Martin. Just popped another 3 points over. So it's now Howe 23 points and Lasswade 7. So that brings a half-time score to Howe Fife 23, Lasswade 7. Howe Fife pretty well in the driving seat at the moment. Howe Fife line outside Lasswade's half. Lasswade to Martin. Graham Thompson. Oh, he steps inside James Elliott and he's away. He's only got Mark Wilson to beat, and he wrong foots him and he's in under the sticks. There's nobody going to catch him. Clean pair of heels, and it's a try there to Howe Fife. That's a great individual effort there from Graham Thompson. Great use of the space. Saw that gap there just outside James Elliott. A routine conversion in front of the sticks, and Dominic Martin pops it over. So it's now Howe 30, Lasswade 7. Lasswade with an attacking scrum just on the Howe 22. Clark pops the ball in. Howe forwards have reeled this round. Lasswade managed to scramble though. Oh, Neil Clark just pops a wee nutmeg through, wee chip and chase, and he's all the way. Oh, it's a beautiful individual effort, that. Fantastic score there from Neil Clark. Something from nothing really, because at the end of the day the Lasswade forwards were on the back foot in the scrum. Gavin Brown looking to add the extras. Just to the right of the post. Strikes it nicely, and that's another 2 points. 30 points to Howe and 14 to Lasswade. Lasswade just starting to edge their way back into this game. Dylan Turnbull throwing the ball in here, taken by Dougie Hearn. Lasswade forwards consolidate it, driving towards the Howe line. They're about 5 yards out now. Gavin Brown's got the ball at the back of the mall. Forwards still driving pretty hard. Howe forwards were pretty defiant in defence, so hold them up well. And the ball goes to deck. Comes back, Neil Clark digging it out. Ball to Blackwood. Blackwood to Elliott. Elliott pops up and Kyle Smith on the crash, but he's caught wrapped up with the ball in the middle of the park. Just 3 or 4 yards out now from the post. Oh, Neil Clark goes in his own and he's under the sticks. A great passage of play there from the Lasswade. All starting off with the forwards and a really good drive for about 5 or 10 yards up towards the Howe line, sucking the defenders in. And there's a quick ball out wide and just to release a bit of space. Gavin Brown steps up to take the kick between the sticks. Perfect conditions for goal kicking today. Slots that one, and it's added the extras. Howe 30, Lasswade 21. Howe in possession just outside Lasswade 22. Up the midfield. Howe go to ground, Lasswade in defence. Quick recycle ball there, but Malcolm Gray doesn't like that one. And he blows up for a penalty to Howe. Lasswade not releasing in the tackle. And Gavin Brown, I don't think too impressed by that. Dominic Martin, just to the left of the post, on the right in the Lasswade's 22. A chance to put 3 points on the board here for Howe Fife. And it doesn't look like it's any problem. Another 3 points here to Howe, so it's Howe 33, Lasswade 21. Howe just over Lasswade's 10 metre line. Ball comes back. Up the midfield, Graham Thompson. To Roy Drummond. Roy Drummond pops it up again. Howe Fife still in possession, driving on. Up over the 10 metre line now. Comes back inside to Rory Drummond. Oh, and the back row player just says, there's a gap I can't afford to not look at. Pops through it, runs 22 yards and scores under the post. I tell you what, this back row from Howe today are having a bit of a field day. And he bags his second try for the afternoon, does Rory Drummond. Dominic Martin adding the extras. Another 2 points, and Howe just pretty much in the driving seat here now. Starting to edge away at 41-20. Howe Fife just driving up over the halfway line now into Lasswade's half. Ball comes back. Pops out to the midfield. And Howe Fife still in possession here. Up over the halfway line. Lathangi feeds back. Oh, shows a lovely dummy there between Cook and Hearn. Another dummy again. De Clark pops it on the outside, and Graham Thompson says, I'll have that, thank you very much. And heads for the corner, and there's another 5 points in the bag. What an afternoon Graham Thompson's having. A lovely little bit of jinky running there though from Stuart Lathangi from the base of the ruck. Stepped inside 2 men and then threw a dummy to the outside of Neil Clark and pops it back on the outside to Graham Thompson. Howe in possession. Up the centre of the park, taking it up. Ewan Bissett takes it on. It's tackled by Clark, goes to ground. Ball's regenerated. Lathangi pops the ball out. Oh, and Graham Steedman! What a burst of pace there from the big prop, and he's going to get caught. Yeah, he's dragged in there by Mark Wilson. But Dominic Martin says, I'll just have that, thank you. And scores underneath the post. And the Hoyk forwards and backs, some lovely linking and interactive play there. It's fantastic to watch. Dominic Martin stepping up from front of the post and pops it between the sticks. Starting to run away with this now. Restart from Lasswade. Gavin Brown restarts. Nicely taken there by Howe. Driven back onto their own 22 though. Just in front of the stand here. One Stuart Lathangi breaks away from the base of the ruck. He's on the touchline on his own. He's only got Neil Clark to beat. He pops it up the inside to captain Chris Mason, who hands off one, hands off two. Oh, he's away. He's up over the 10. He's over the 22. And he hands off Kyle Smithley as if he was like a damp rag. And he scores a try in the far corner. That was a great piece of work between 2 players there. Fantastic bit of interactive passing. Dominic Martin stepping up to add the conversion here. Just about 10 feet in from the touchline on the left hand side of the pitch. Oh, he looks as if he struck that pretty well. I would say there's no argument there. An extra 2 points in the score, so Howe Fife now. Last year the attacking line out on the line. Dougie Hearn takes it. Ball goes to ground though. Oh no, it's held up. And Graham Cook goes to ground. Still in the last way, still retaining possession here. And it's Clark back to Blackwood, but it's a terrible pass and he makes the best of going down in it. And it's a penalty to Lasswade. There's obviously some Howe boys off. But Blackwood takes a quick tap penalty and I think he's actually made it to the line. Was it a double movement? No. And Malcolm Gray's quite happy with that. Tried to Lasswade, but is it too little, too late? Every point counts at this stage. And Gavin Brown taking the kick to the left hand side of the post. That's a very good effort from a left footer on the left hand side, and there's no doubt there. 59-28 to Howe Fife. Howe in possession on their own 10 metre line. Lathangi feeds it back. Dominic Martin, cross field kick down into Lasswade's 10 metre line. Niall Gray comes across. Neil Murray comes across. Oh, the Howe players got to it first, and they chip it up to the 22. Neil Murray just clears that away into the stand, out of harm's way. A bit scrappy there from Lasswade. And Malcolm Gray says he's seen enough and calls no time. So it's full time here at Hawthornden then, and it's Howe Fife running out victors, 59 points to 28 over Lasswade. Lasswade still yet to get a win under their scalp on the of a Howe Fife game, and Howe Fife must be looking forward to going on next week and continue their unbeaten run. Lasswade maybe not so much back to the drawing board, but there's a bit of tidying up needs to be done before the next encounter versus Hoyt YM next Saturday. So on behalf of me, Scott Brown, and the LRTV team, it's goodbye from us and see you next week.
I'm here with Gary Horn, the coach for Howe Rugby Club. Congratulations, Gary, for a fantastic result today. Good game.
Yeah, very pleased with the way the game went today. I thought the boys did pretty well. It was a hard-fought game first half, and we kind of got our noses in front, and then dealt with the wind well in the second half. Run it back out.
Yeah, both forwards and backs seemed to get in the action today.
Yeah, good combination play. Probably helped them maybe with the forwards playing the backs to start with. So.
And Gary Mason getting in the was captain courageous. Chris Mason was your captain courageous today, getting in on the action and a couple of bracer tries himself.
Absolutely, Chris leads by example. Always has done. Hopefully, always will. But I thought he had a great performance today. Line out steals, turnover, and some great offloads at the tackle.
It's a pretty happy camp, this, isn't it? It's a tight squad, this, isn't it? It's a pretty homegrown squad full of locally sourced and real homegrown players, isn't it?
Absolutely. There's most of the guys, vast majority of these guys have all come up through our mini system, played through their youth rugby at Howe, and then graduated into the full team. And 2 young lads out there today, 3 in fact, playing their first season, seniors. So great to have that conveyor belt coming through.
I know for a fact there's a young lad that you might know something about. He's 16 at the moment. He's eagerly waiting to come up through the ranks. Your son's a pretty handy player. Played well in the sevens at the end of the season last year.
A lot of people tell me he's quite good.
He takes after his father
then? Yeah. His big brother maybe.
Listen, 3 from 3. Congratulations. A long way to go in the season yet. Good luck next week, and we look forward to the return visit back up to Howe.
Hope to see you all there.
Cheers.
Great. Thanks a lot.
I'm here with Dave Coburn, Lasswade coach. Dave, Howe Fife's proven to be quite a hard nut to crack. It's 3 out of 3 for them against Lasswade in the last 18 months.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite a difficult journey against these guys. The first time we played against them, we probably had a good chance because we got affected by the bridge. But the second time, we were well beaten on the second time. This time, I think we had an opportunity to beat them. They haven't scored the first try, but unfortunately the 2 yellow cards went against us quite significantly, I think, and that affected us. Although we did actually score 2 tries when we had 14 men in the field, which was testament to the passion and the effort that the Lasswade guys can put into it.
It was at the final point in the game actually when there was 2 perhaps poignant ones in the first half. We were down 13 men. Obviously, and perhaps more importantly, when Dougie Grant came off, the scrum seemed to creak after that.
Well, I mean, it's going to creak because Gordon is quite a lightweight second row. We changed it about, we put a prop in the second row, but then we changed it and got Bernie into the second row, which made it a bit better. But even then, when you've got that situation, you've only got one guy who's really just started playing second row, who's playing second row, and it makes a big difference, and the scrum is going to creep. Yeah. And we've got different combinations of props coming in. It's quite difficult for a scrum to get settled, but a big unit like Dougie going off is actually going to be, I'm sure we're going to affect the team quite considerably.
So positives today though, Dougie Hearn, some fantastic defensive tackling in particular within our own 22, but more importantly the 10 jersey last week had multiple occupancy this season, and today we've seen Jamie Blackwood in the 10 jersey and it looks as if he steadied the ship quite well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I definitely think that Clark and Neil Clark and Jamie Blackwood worked really well together, and I actually thought the tackling by Tash in the first 15-20 minutes was absolutely outstanding. I mean, he tackled out his skin, and our defensive system that we're working with Derek American is beginning to work, but we need to buy into it. And the 2 things we asked everybody to do, the team agreed this because Gavin, your brother, because the captain of the club said, 2 things we're going to do is we're going to tackle low and is we're going to get a line speed. And also, probably the 3rd thing was to basically make sure we keep the ball. Now, unfortunately, we didn't actually do that through the whole game, and that's the sort of thing we can practice and practice and get better and get better, because when we do it well, we beat Greenock with the line speed last year to, which was a great victory for us through there. We can do that again. So I'm not despondent. I'm disappointed for the guys because they train bloody hard. And for me, I think we did come away with something, because I think last year, if I'd gone behind the post and said, come on boys, we need a point, one more try and get a bonus point, they actually got the bonus point, which was good. I think last year their heads might have been down and they didn't got it, but they tried and they worked together. And also the referee who was against us, I think in some ways, I'm not going to say he was a bad referee, but I'm going to say is that I thought his decision went against us quite considerably. They didn't start yipping up, and again kept their discipline, which is massive.
On paper before the game, it's ultimately the battle of the back rows. We know what they're all about, Masson and Drummond in there. Looks as though two very capable back rows, looks as though we came off second best of the year.
Yeah, because we're chopping and changing the team week in, week out. We've now started, we've had 3 league games, and basically, if anybody was going to say what your optimum team was, we're actually probably 7 players down. And that's, I mean, I don't think even Premier clubs can actually cope with that throughout the season.
It has become a trademark of Lasswade, isn't it? Winning cups, winning tournaments, winning leagues with using 30 players plus in a season.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do use a lot of players. I mean, last year we used 34, and the year before we actually used about 40. I mean, I've counted them up, and we do use a lot of players. We have a lot of injuries.
Okay, so it's White Bayern. It's White Bayern next week. What positives are you looking at taking from today, and what things would you be looking to improve on for next week?
Well, I think the fact that we've still got a good driving mould from lineouts. I still think that we do tackle well. When we do tackle well, we do get a line speed working, we can close sides down, and we can score tries. Obviously, we can score them by good movement as well, especially our first try, which was a brilliant piece of work by young Mark, and the backs getting the ball out wide. So there's a lot of positives there. I don't think their backs are anywhere near as sharp as the Fife backs. No way.
Dave, 3 from 2, or 2 from 3 should I say. There'll be 2 this morning. Good luck next week.
Cheers, thank you. The bonus point helps. We've got 10 points, and that'll count for an awful lot at the end of the season. Okay, thank you.
Cheers.